when I lost my pregnancy, because I got married early, and you know, people that you got married together with, they have 1 or 2 kids, some even have 3 kids, and you are wondering, what is wrong with me? You needed this baby so badly, and it's not that you don't conceive, it's just that you don't carry it to term. So after my first pregnancy, I conceived again, and I miscarried. That one, I think it was not up to 3 months, but yeah, I'm not sure, it wasn't up to 3 months. And after then, I got married, I conceived again. I have had miscarriages for 6 times. Yeah, the 6th one was almost 6 months, because after 3 months, I was like, yay, we've crossed this path and we need to move on. Then after, that was 6 months, and I started having pains. So when I went to the hospital and the doctor checked, the doctor was like, no, this baby is not growing well. 6 months baby, and the development of the baby is like 3 months or 2 months. So they had to induce me, and I gave birth to the child. So it was so devastating, and I had to tell my mom. In fact, it's not something to even wish my enemy at all. At all. Like from where I come from, when you have a miscarriage, we don't really go for a therapy. But yeah, for love from family, love from friends, some friends, but because people will still blame you. Though they will still come to support you, but they will still blame you. You would have done this, you would have done that. And you know, people are telling you it's okay. People are telling you are the cause of your problem. So family love, yeah. My husband was my backbone. Even at night when I cry because I don't have baby, and he tries to calm me down, like, it's okay. God gives children. I know we are going to have our own very soon. So, and my mom, she has always been there for me, calling me, trying to cheer me up. Then the hospital part, we went for a series of tests. We even did a blood test to check our rhesus factor, and everything was okay. I am O positive, my husband is O positive. And you know, moms, my mother were like, okay, it might be spiritual. So she contacted her pastors. They started praying. They said, oh, maybe someone have sworn somewhere that I will never have my babies. No, that kind of a thing, because we Africans, we believe in spirituality. Being scared of not trying is a lesser, let me call it a lesser fear of what the society will throw out to you. Even though as a woman, I don't want to go through that pains anymore, but the pressure from outside, from the society, honestly, I don't mind keep getting pregnant every year just to prove that I'm a woman. Sometimes in the night I cry. I tell my husband that I know I failed as a woman, because people will tell you if you cannot give your husband children and if you cannot give birth, you failed as a woman. That is how we see it from where I come from. And I spoke to my husband and I suggested, okay, I don't mind if you can get a child outside or maybe have a second wife, although we are legally married. And he was like, no, you don't need to say that anymore. You don't need to say that whenever child comes, it's okay with that. But you know, as women and as a woman, I need to conceive. I need to have children for my husband. So yeah, I'm not scared. I'm scared about what the society will say.
I did been to the hospital 3 times with 3 miscarriages, and unfortunately I was disappointed with that, because in early stage pregnancy you're not looked after as you should. So in England, after 12 weeks pregnancy, they'll look after you. But until then, it's wait and see. My experience was in A&E in Gloucester. So I've been seen by a nurse, and that was like, yeah, you're miscarriaging, you can go home and take some painkillers. This is how it was my experience. It wasn't easy progress. So I went home and I felt very low because I thought it's my fault, because you're starting to put loads of pressure on you after that when you see what's going on. And after many years of trying, somebody just to tell you, yeah, you go home. If you experience like heavily bleeding, then come back. So of course, when you lose a child, even if it's, I was early stage, I was 3 weeks pregnant, and they said, you go home, take some painkillers, and if you overfloated, just come back. So of course, because I work in this environment with healthcare, I knew how to look after myself. But I know some women, they experience all of this and they keep it quiet and they don't know how to look after themselves. So for me, it wasn't a great help from there, from the hospital. No, I didn't have that much. I always felt like I want to have a child, 2, 3. Unfortunately, is only one. But no, I wasn't pushed by society or about people around me or anything like that. No, that was just, I think you are born with it. Some women, they are born with it. For some women, it just happens. For some, they are harder to get pregnant. Some of them, it's straight away. So yeah, for me, no, it was always, I wanted that. And I was thinking since I was 25. It was a long process, but it happened. It happened. The dream, it was too big to be scared. So me and my husband, sometimes people around you say, wait, it will happen. Don't stress, don't get, no. When somebody is telling you don't get stressed, you get more stressed. So when I got pregnant with my son, previously a month before, I had a miscarriage. So I didn't think about it anymore. And I said, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't have to push my body through all this pain again. As you said, it is pain, it's lots of pain. I don't feel the pain, I didn't feel the pain in my body, my mind, I wasn't able to cope with people around me, with kids. It was hard, and I was saying, why they having a child and I don't? What have I done wrong, you know? So, yeah, I said, well, give her a break. If it happens, it happens. But I never gave up. Never. Even if it was terrible, painful. You see stories online at the GP or at the A&E, nobody's gonna tell you that if you are in early stage pregnancy. They just send you home. But if you go online, you find stories about people that have been trying, they get there, some of them they didn't, some of them they try IVF, they try to adopt a child or other processes to have a child.
The midwives I know are doing their very best, but a lot of them feel extremely pressured. And the result is they simply cannot spend the time that they should and they want to with women, whether this is a healthy pregnancy and birth or a pregnancy loss. And I think it can have, sadly, the most impact when there's something really tragic like a pregnancy loss, that of course women want and expect to have some time perhaps with their midwife just to talk through what might have happened, what they need to do now, if they want to try again, how long to wait. The physical process to have things explained, and the physical recovery after a miscarriage. And sadly, I fear that this is something that is shortchanged, that the midwives will have to leave that woman even when really she should be getting more care, because they have other women in labour or with some other problem they need to deal with. And I would never wish to blame any individual midwife. A lot of them have extremely difficult decisions to make because there may be 4 or 5 women desperately in need of their time. But it can end up, I think, with women who would greatly benefit from a quiet time and a conversation, and perhaps being able to sit for a while in a quiet room, without being anywhere near people with their live babies. That's something that we know has happened, and it adds to the painfulness of the experience.
The day after she had the cesarean, I went there with my dad and one of my older sisters, and I didn't go in to see her, to see Luna. I went to see my mum, but I never went in to see Luna because my dad didn't want me to for some reason, and that was probably one of my biggest regrets, is not seeing her. I never met her, and it's my biggest regret. Good. I'm good. Sorry. Sorry, I'm good. I'm good. I'll be right. I promise. When it happened, it wasn't only Luna I was worried about. It was also my mum. It was also my mum, and I couldn't see her. I couldn't do anything to help either of them. So if something did happen to my mum, it would really... I think I would have hurt the most. Because even my support by showing up didn't help, really. But yeah, that was my biggest regret. And going there in the first place, when I first went to the hospital, I remember it was mysteriously very quiet. I didn't see anybody actually until one of the nurses came and collected us. And my dad said, "No, it's fine. I'll go in there to have a look at her with Aura, my youngest sister." And Siobhan, one of my older sisters, went in there too. And I remember being sat in the lobby, and it was very quiet. It was just me. And I remember being very lonely. And I think that kind of bounced off how my mum was feeling, because she couldn't see any of us either until like really late on in the day. I've never really sought professional help. It's like a man who needs to go to the doctor, so he refuses to go to the doctor. That's like me. I don't really feel like, I've never really crossed my mind. I've never really desired any help from anybody. I think it comes down to the stigma that men need to have brave faces, Whereas, although I don't believe that's true, the stigma still sticks. And I think that's why men especially don't talk about it. Because if a man appears to be weak by showing emotion, our biggest fear is hurting anybody else when we talk about said emotion. That funeral, accompanied with how the whole process of Luna and as such, I am actually pretty traumatized on my whole experience. Actually, while we're on the topic, my ex-girlfriend actually had a son called Callum, ironically, and he was born premature, and he's perfectly healthy now. Not perfectly healthy, but there's still some issues, but he's healthy. He's healthy. He's alive. He's all good. He's funny, and that made me, it's quite harsh to say, but that made me really envious, because she had hers and I didn't have my sister to relate to. And that really made me feel the loss. But now seeing how hard her life is now with with Callum, not me, her Callum, it's traumatized me to the point where I don't want children, because I don't want to go through. So I don't want to feel any more pain, and I don't want anyone in the future to feel the same.
I had my normal 12-week scan, and the person who did the scan said there is what looks like a roll of fat on the back of the baby's neck, and that indicates a lot of things, fluid build-up. It's also a sign of Down syndrome, and they said we can do a test right now, but you might have a miscarriage. And I decided against the test. So 20 weeks comes up. Oh, everything looks all right. So we're really excited. Everything's fine. The lump's gone. It could have been fluid. It's gone. It's fine. Everything's looking all right. Oh, and you're having a girl. And I had a midwife appointment about 6 weeks later, when I was 28 weeks, and she said the heart rate doesn't sound very good. So I had to go to the hospital, and I was backwards and forwards to the hospital having scans, and they were checking me out. And then the appointment when I was 30 weeks, they couldn't find the heartbeat at all, and they said you've got to come in hospital. We've got to check this out. So that was at 32 weeks. I was in hospital being constantly monitored. And the next day they said we've got to do cesarean because her heart keeps stopping. So it was emergency cesarean. I was in hospital for 2 days, and I just kept going down to see her. I had to be wheeled down to see her because I'd had the cesarean. I couldn't believe how small she was. She was the tiniest little thing. She was the smallest one on the ward. I'd never seen a baby that small. And it was the day after I came back. I was actually on my way to see her, and they rang my home, asking if there was anybody with me, and my husband said, "Oh no, she's just come in by herself." They said, "Well, we really want somebody to be there," but it was just me, and they took me into a room with the consultant there and the nurse, and the consultant said we'd done lots of tests on Luna, and she has a thing called trisomy 18. It's basically she had 3 of the chromosome 18 instead of just 2. It's also called Edwards syndrome because the person that discovered it. And he said it's a life-limiting disease. I still didn't know what that meant. I thought, okay, so she might live until she's 40 or 50 or 60. And he said nobody's lived past 13 months. And but he said, I don't think she's gonna live that long. She had so many problems. Her brain hadn't formed properly. She had 2 holes in her heart. And he said she had all the kind of conditions that go with it as well, that he had noticed before he'd even done the scan. She had her hands were fused together that looked like she was always in a boxing position, which I also thought was really funny. She had the bottoms of her feet were like rocking shape. So he kind of knew before. When the doctor said that that's what she had, I spent hours researching it, seeing if there's anything that could be done, seeing if they could make her life longer, and everything that I read was negative. There's not one positive thing about it. The only positive thing I took away from it was that other people who'd had a miscarriage, they don't get to meet their babies, but I did get to meet mine, and I had her, and I held her. I gave her a name. I knew her. I always wore the same top when I went there, so she knew it was me, and she'd turn her head and look at me. So I was thinking, she knows that it's me, and it was that was the positive thing that I took out of it. I got to meet mine, and some people don't get that, don't have it. There was kind of false information about it. That it said it was congenital, and it's not a congenital thing. It's something that just it doesn't run in families. It's just something that I blamed the fact that I was 44 as well, when I didn't realise it can happen to anybody, not just because you're an older parent. So yeah, it would have been better if I could have seen a programme about parents talking about their experience, rather than reading things that you don't know who's written them. You don't know if they know anything about it. They might not be the correct information. So yeah, it would have been good to talk to other parents who'd had that as well, but I didn't have enough time. It was, this is what it is, you've got to decide what to do. So I didn't have that the opportunity to even think about it or find out more information about it. It was just that one day, decide. You've got sort of 24 hours kind of thing to decide what to do. I felt like somebody had grabbed the back of my chair and pulled it really. So it felt like I went back into the room really quickly, and everything else went really, really far away. And I just started crying. I had nobody there with me. I didn't know what to do. The nurse there was really good. We went to see Luna, and they talked through all the options that I had. They said we can keep her alive for as long as you want to, or as long as we can, or we can take the support away and sort of let her die peacefully. They didn't know if she was in pain, so that's what I decided to do. The next day was to take her support away and just be there for her until she passed away. She was born on the 30th of May, and she died on the 5th of June. So we had her for 6 days. Just enough time. I'm sure she did have a little personality, because they gave her morphine, and the nurse said to me, it's meant to keep them asleep, but she was awake. She was like, I'm on drugs. I'm ready to rave. And it was funny, one day when I went in, and she had a bit of jaundice. So she had the tiny little black glasses on as well, and she was under the bright light, and she looked so cool. She was sunbathing. It was so funny. I wasn't offered any support. There was somebody called a bereavement midwife who came to see me about 3 weeks after, and I'm going to be blunt, she was absolutely useless. There was no words of comfort, no words of support, absolutely nothing. But my own midwife came to see me a couple of days after, and she was really good. And she said, you'll see the bereavement midwife. I think you'd like her. She's really good. But she came round, she gave me some leaflets, and that was about it. There's a free counselling service in Gloucester down Westgate Street. I don't know if it's still there, but it's called Footsteps, and they do offer free counselling. But I keep thinking, if I go and I let the floodgates open, if I start crying, I won't stop. So I don't want to go. I'd rather I'll just keep it to myself. I'm not a religious person. I don't believe in heaven, which is why when we had her cremated, and I didn't want to spread her ashes anywhere because she doesn't know anybody here. So I brought them home. So that makes me feel safe that she's here, that she's over there, and she has birthdays with us, she has Christmas with us. So that makes me feel safer knowing that she is in the house. She's still here. She's still with us. So yeah, that makes me know. I know she's safe because she's here. She's in the house.